Welcome. Thanks for tuning in.
Zanna,
Miranda.
it's time for a first edition of the C-Level series.
Yes.
And today we talk about the top 5 CEO benefits and behaviors for successful CX transformation. But first, let's start with why this series.
Yeah, so of course we just had a series about a human-centric CEO, right? A video series where I interviewed specific CEOs or experts to understand, hey, what does it mean to be a leader in a human-centric organization? And also why is it so difficult and how can I convince others? So that was a bit more focused on the end goal, not specifically on CX transformation, although CX for most of them was an important topic. So when I was reflecting on, hey, we need to go also back to the Miranda and Zanna podcast. We got a lot of fans saying, hey, where are you guys? So I thought, okay, what could be a nice series? And then I thought, well, in between, I think it's really crucial to understand, okay, so what can I as a leader do to make CX transformation successful? But also so that would be the target group would be C-level, because a lot of them are, everybody is pro CX, right? But a lot of them are asking, okay, but what can I specifically do to make it successful? And then the other side of the target group would be our listeners, right? CX leaders as well, where they can use it to be inspired. Hey, what can I ask of my CEO or my CFO? Or also just send a link and say, hint, hint, please listen to this podcast because we need you.
Good one.
So I think we'll have like maybe 6 or 7 in the series, depending on the different roles that we'll be covering.
Yeah. So today's CEO, maybe you can tell a little bit about what will be the next in this series?
Yeah, I'm not sure which the next one is, but for sure it will be one from the CFO perspective, the CHRO, the CMO, Chief Operations Officer, and definitely also the CTO/CDO/CIO, meaning the IT guys or girls.
All right. But first today, CEO. Let's start with the 5 benefits.
Yeah, so I've been thinking, because I think we can have many more benefits, but I thought it's always nice to have sort of a clear, number where we can focus on. So let's go for 5 benefits and 5 behaviors. And so the benefits are, okay, why should CX be relevant for me as a CEO in this case? And the behaviors is, okay, what can I do as a CEO to make sure that I facilitate CX transformation? So of course, benefit number 1, I always say, I'm not a fan of a business case, but also recently I was doing a keynote for, I think like 12 CEOs. And yes, the question was again, hey, can you also share why CX matters? And maybe what's also relevant to point out is that in this whole series, and also one of the previous podcasts, I make a distinction between, let's say, operational CX and CX transformation. And for me, any person on C-level is not necessarily focused on CX, or should not necessarily be focused on operational CX, like mapping the journeys, doing the correct research, but they should definitely be focused on CX transformation. Yeah. So the focus here is, how can I make sure that we really create this customer human-centric organization? So I was on one hand, a bit surprised. Okay, do we still need to convince the people about the financial impact? Then I thought, okay, no worries. Let me again select, the best top 3 or 4 sources. So of course we have McKinsey proving not only the financial results. I think if you just Google, you have many sources that advocate for the financial impact. But I think what's interesting also in one of the most recent McKinsey articles is that they're saying it's also about competitive advantage. And I think there is one of the key differentiators, right? So other companies can copy your price. They can copy your product. They can also probably copy your digital experience. But it's really hard to copy, let's say, more customer-centric culture that's really part of the DNA. But still, let me go back to the hardcore financial believers. Boston Consulting Group also recently published an analysis where they saw that CX leaders, they had way higher shareholder value. They had, I think, like around 160% more revenue growth, and also the trust was higher and the loyalty of customers. So on the financial side, also whenever we have tested a financial impact, every time we see a positive impact. Now, two other things when it comes to the, let's say, the business side is one is that CX transformation is not, let's say, the holy grail, right, to be successful financially. There are many ways in business to succeed, as many companies are also proving. I can go out to go to different markets. I can maybe be like the cheapest one. I can have the best product. I can innovate super fast. But I think what's interesting is that the analysis that we saw is that satisfaction of, it was in this case the B2B customers, had an impact on different financial KPIs, but especially on the growth KPIs. So we saw cause and effect on GP growth, cause and effect on revenue growth. So that's why I'm always saying, of course, there are multiple ways to be successful, but CX transformation definitely accelerates your financial results. Hence, accelerate and experience as the name for our methodology. And I think what's also crucial to mention in this part when it comes to business impact is if you're a CEO who's listening or you're a CX leader, I would say 90% chance that you are doing something with digital transformation in your organization. And what we saw, and also what Forrester showed in their research, is that if digital transformation is too much focused only on digital, it becomes really transactional. You're fixing the app, you're fixing the website. And what the organizations were realizing is, if I want to do digital transformation, I need the CX component, right? I need to not just fix touch points, digital touch points. I need to reassess the full journey to understand, hey, where can digital really accelerate the experience? So there's also a very good marriage when it comes to business impact between CX transformation and digital transformation. So that's benefit number one.
Number one. All right. Let's dive a little bit deeper in number two.
Number two is all about steering and KPIs. And what I tend to see is that most organizations are focusing on more, let's say, the short-term KPIs, but also more the operational KPIs, sales, of course, but also costs. When it comes to churn, it's already a bit more challenging, right? Not all companies are measuring churn and the number of customers and also employees that are leaving. So for me, I think if you are a CEO, one of the benefits of CX transformation, at least how we look at it, it's really an integrated view from customer, employee, and purpose, right? You really look at the full organization. So you want to have a balanced set of KPIs. Yes, of course, still keep measuring also the short-term relevant KPIs, but just start adding customer-related KPIs. Or, for example, employee engagement-related KPIs. So make sure that it's a balance both on the type of KPIs you're choosing, but also a balance between the more short-term results and the more mid to long-term KPIs.
All right, clear. Number three.
I'm assuming if you have chosen to become a CEO that you have some vision, right? You want something to put out in the world to inspire your people. And I think you making sure that you voice that vision and connect that vision to what impact are we making, right? So our company, how is it different from others? What is the daily impact that customers are feeling based on our product? And when you center your vision around people, right? Customers, the impact we're making, employees, why they chose to work for the organization, and the values that you stand for, the purpose, why are we different than other organizations, then I think your vision comes way more to life than just, and again, I'm making it black and white, than just focusing on the numbers, or we want to be number one in the market, or we want to accelerate our revenue by X%. Again, I don't think it's either or, but I think it's nice if you can weave in the full story, right? Both the more, let's say, emotional side of your vision as well as the transactional side. And I think that is also, your vision for me is also linked to you personally, right? What do you want your legacy to be? What difference do you want to make? Because I think if you can connect customers through employees and purpose to the company's purpose and your own personal purpose, then I think you have a really good story that really resonates with people. It has to be authentic. It has to be your story, right? It's not that, oh yeah, I had to do a management exercise to write down an inspirational purpose. So really do some reflection. Hey, what difference do I want to make? But then I think you can, let's say, rally the troops way more than if it's just about the more numbers-driven vision that you have for the organization.
Yeah, it can be really powerful, right? If you can connect these.
Yeah, definitely.
Last one.
Last one? No, I think we're at number 4, right?
Number 4, sorry.
I'm glad that you're still awake during my rant. Okay, number 4 it's connected to the previous one, but it's about culture, right? It's not only about if you just became a CEO, the culture that you inherited, and maybe you're just building out the organization. And so what values really matter? And also here we see that when you can connect the vision and the purpose to, hey, this is the impact we're making on customers. These are values that are really important to us. Because what we tend to see is that when employees understand and really feel that you're sincere about making an impact on customers, on society, then that really energizes them, right? You can also then make more clear, hey, when you look at our values, for example, high integrity is an important value. Then you can better facilitate your employees to be empowered to understand, okay, when I'm also in contact with customers, I can know, right? I can have sort of my inner checklist as long as I treat them in line with my values. Then it's way easier to understand, okay, how far can I go to help them, for example. And so I think if you can not only have your values and culture sort of written in paper, but you can actually live it, you're actually also giving examples that people feel, hey, it's not just words, it's something that we take seriously. Then I think you can have, again, more energy, right? It's about storytelling. Also, sometimes when you work with organizations, you hear stories like, when you work in this organization, you should not experiment because then you get fired. And those stories can last for like 10, 15 years. And so I think it's important for you as a CEO to flip it around and make sure that you keep sharing stories that also incentivize the culture and the behaviors that you want to create. Right? So people really feel, hey, this person is consistent in what they're sharing and what they're doing. So we can really help against CX transformation to make culture, I think, more tangible. Right? What habits are connected to culture? What values are connected to culture? What KPIs are connected to culture? And I think then you can start connecting the different dots.
Yeah, nice. All right, last one.
Yeah, the last one, stakeholder management. So as a CEO, of course, you not only have your C-level colleagues, right, that are part of your team, but you also have your, let's say, the directors that report to you. And I think what's really helpful when it comes to CX transformation, how can it help you in your role? Because not only for CX transformation, but I think for any serious development, you want to enhance cooperation between your different departments. So you want to make sure that the CHRO is also working with the Chief Financial Officer, is also working with the operational department, instead of being too siloed. Right? I think most organizations struggle with a very siloed approach. And when you look at CX, it's helping to make those behaviors more tangible. So you can have a very tangible list of, okay, what do I need in this transformation from my CFO? XYZ, right? Specific, for example, analysis that show that, hey, if we enhance the experience, we see an enhancement of GP. What do I need from my CHRO? Hey, that's a combination of in the daily work of employees, making sure that they feel more meaningful work. And that's always connected to making an impact on customers. Right? So I think in managing the stakeholders, it can help as well. And of course, nowadays with the whole topic of sustainability, often that is also moving towards a conversation on treating people well. So also think to your external stakeholders, if you can share what you're doing with customers, with employees, having a clear purpose, having clear values, I think it's also adding value to them, right? To really show what you stand for. Yeah. And I think that's why the vision, why the culture, why the steering, right, the 5 topics that we just discussed, are really interlinked. So I think that isn't. I think there are more maybe, but to me those 5 are sort of the main reasons why I think that you as a CEO should embrace CX transformation, because it helps you achieve your goals.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So the 5 benefits: business impact and financial results, steering the organization, strategic vision that inspires people, building and maintaining strong culture and values, and stakeholder management. For this series, we not only have the benefits, but also the 5 behaviors.
Yes.
Let's dive into the first behavior.
Okay, so what we've done is, based on our experience and working with a lot of organizations, we just made sort of a collection of, within the 5 topics, what are very tangible things that you can do. Sometimes a tiny habit, sometimes just an example of a routine that you can start doing. So we can try to make your role to make sure that CX transformation is successful in your organization as specific as possible. And the order 1 to 5 is not necessarily that the first one is more important than the 5th one, right? I think these are just the 5 most relevant behaviors that are needed from you as a CEO. So behavior number 1, super obvious, but super important: leading by example. Walk the talk, right? No window dressing. Don't say that customers matter to you, while in each report and each session with the employees, you're only focusing on financials. And I think what's important here is that you really have to find your own, let's say, authentic story. And so if customers really matter to you, share with employees a specific example of why it matters to you. Instead of making it really abstract, and again, I'm making it black and white, and not just because everybody thinks customers matter, or I cannot say that customers don't matter, but make sure that you have a story or you have an experience that resonates with you, because that's what your colleagues and employees will also feel, right? If it's a truthful, authentic story, that will go a long way in inspiring others. A few examples of things that we've shared with previous companies or heard what some leaders in other companies are doing. One is, for example, once a month, interview a customer. And you can do that super easily. For example, do it online in a Zoom call or in a Teams call. And then everybody in the organization can listen in. Then not only are employees seeing, hey, customers are relevant, and they can learn at the same time, and you're really showing that you practice what you preach. So I think that's one example that I learned from Miro. I'm not sure, but I think one of their directors was doing this. I really think it's a really cool example. The second option is just talk to an employee, let's say, I don't know, once a week or once a month, with the specific objective, right? No agenda, just you listening, asking the employee, for example, hey, what can we do to enhance your impact on customers? And of course, you might want to keep that confidential. And then you're impacting the one person, right? The one person feels really listened to, really feels seen by you. But then if you summarize in an anonymous way, hey, I had a conversation this week with one of our colleagues, and these were my 3 learnings, and you share that in a blog or in a video or whatever medium with everybody in the organization, then again, I think you have a very easy way to keep learning yourself, but also to show everybody that, hey, I'm actually listening to customers and to employees. Let me check. I'm just checking my list of brilliant brainwaves that we had.
I really like this one. And also, because you're saying you're impacting one person, this one person also speaks to the colleagues around him or her. So, yeah, I really love it.
Yeah, I think it really goes back to... I think many CEOs or C-level leaders have sort of lost connection with the day-to-day, both the customer, right? How many CEOs are actually calling a customer to understand, hey, how do you experience our product? But also how many of them are actually asking like a call center agent or an account manager about their daily experience, right? It tends to be maybe a celebration of the best salespeople, that kind of activities. But I also think this is a really small, very doable, but very impactful activity.
Yeah.
Celebrating, right? I think what most organizations do is celebrate, let's say, successes. But then I think it's also crucial to make sure that you celebrate a balanced set of success. How many organizations do you know that send their best salespeople off to, I don't know, super luxury Hawaii, whatever treatment, versus how many times are, let's say, the people giving the best experience being sent off to the same experience, right? That doesn't often happen. So celebrate the things that you want to see, right? The behaviors that you want to see. Which for me also means if you want to be successful in CX transformation, you want to stimulate experimentation and learning. So I think it's also good to be aware of, hey, I should also highlight and celebrate a team that tried something, but it didn't work. Right? So people feel more and more comfortable, hey, experimentation here actually means experimentation. And it's okay if sometimes it doesn't work as long as we learn from it. Right? So think of a balanced set of how do you celebrate, how do you spotlight the things that will strengthen the direction that you want to go in.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Ready for number 2?
Ready for number 2. Yeah. Don't fall for the hypes. If you've been listening more often, you know that I tend to be Dutchly direct. So what I mean by this one, and I'm going to again maybe misuse the NPS, but I think it's really important. What I mean with don't fall for the hypes is keep sort of thinking for yourself, right? For example, the Net Promoter Score, every company in the world has adopted this, but also the level of CX in the world is not necessarily increasing. There's a lot of criticism towards NPS, yet boards are still sort of stuck to that. So for me, that means, hey, whenever it's NPS or it's, I don't know, journey mapping tooling, just be critical, right? Just don't say, hey, because all of my peers are doing this, we should also measure NPS, again, as an example. Just think, stand still for a moment, just use common sense, right? Because also with common sense, you can already double check 80% of the quality of ideas, right? How many companies have been super successful using that? How many companies have been struggling? If I look at the data that we are in our own, I'm the CEO of a company. If I look at our NPS data, do I see that it's giving us steerable information? So don't fall for the hypes, right? Keep just using your common sense. And I think stand for the things that really matter to your organization. Don't look too much to what everybody else is doing. I think if you just keep on improving yourself, your company every day a bit better, then I think you really can start accelerating the growth that you want to achieve.
Yeah, nice. Any other hypes you want to mention, or can we go to the third?
Let me check. Yeah, maybe a bit. I wrote down I need also service design. And here we just recorded a podcast also. I think we called it "Stop Throwing Service Design at Every Problem."
Yeah, correct.
So if you're interested, definitely listen to that one. But it's indeed the same idea. Right now, service design is being hyped. Just, again, sit still, reflect. Okay, what is this bringing? What value can we take from it? Because it definitely has valuable things. But are we applying it in the right way? And not just because every company is hiring service designers, we should be hiring service designers. Because every company is doing something with journey mapping, we should do something with journey mapping. And maybe what I tend to say myself when I work with organizations, I always say I don't want to understand too much of your products, because then I can no longer ask stupid questions from the customer perspective. So I think maybe also being okay or embracing that, if I don't really see the value, even though everybody else is doing, it's still fine to challenge that, right? So make sure that people really convince you of the why and the business value of some of these new developments.
Yeah, good one. All right. Number 3.
Number 3. Decision making, but then balanced decision making. So we already talked about steering. And I think here, right, the balanced decision making is not just taking the decision. So not just looking at, let's say, the financial impact, cost reduction, whether it's a strategic move, right, to acquire maybe a new type of product of organization, but also looking at, hey, what's the impact on our customers of this decision? What's the impact on employees? And is it in line with our purpose and our values? So make sure that you, as the C-level, are taking these balanced decisions. I think that's one side. That doesn't happen often. But I think even more importantly is that you are transparent and explicit about it, so that also employees feel, even if maybe the decisions are complex or are maybe, let's say, have a negative impact on customers, that you still share how you assessed what the impact was, so that they continue to see, okay, they're not just looking at the short-term financial impact, they've also seriously considered the impact on customers or how to mitigate maybe a negative impact on us as employees. They've double-checked, hey, it's aligned with our values. So not just balancing the decision-making framework for you as the leaders, but also being very transparent about it, that other people can follow along what your reasoning was for specific decisions.
Yeah. Number 4.
Number 4. So there's a bit of a trend also. That's maybe was also a nice one for the hype part of creating a chief customer officer or a chief experience officer. I'm not necessarily a fan of that. I'm a believer in that to be successful in CX transformation, CX has to be facilitated by everyone, right? HR has a role to play in CX. Finance has a role to play in CX. Digital has a role to play. The operations, sales. And I think for you as a CEO, it's really crucial that you make sure that all your colleagues are aligned, right? That they are working together, that they are using cross-functional teams, like journey teams, making sure that the teams consist of all the colleagues of the different organizations. And I think here, the beauty of CX transformation, and definitely where CX and digital meet, is that you need this journey thinking, right? Forrester calls it journey centricity, not just for customers, but also for employees. So you can use CX transformation as a force to make sure that you cross barriers and you break through the silos. So CX transformation can help you in achieving that the different the different departments in the organization not only are more easily cooperating, but also have a very tangible thing that they can work on together. Right? Okay, let's analyze together what the onboarding journey of new customers look like. Let's analyze together with all the departments what the claims journey of an insurance company looks like. So I think with all the benefits we're mentioning, we're trying to make it as concrete and as tangible as possible. Right? You can just start doing this tomorrow.
Yeah, good one. And then we go to the number 5.
Number 5, last but of course not least. So I wrote down integrating again, right? So I'm always looking at things holistically, right? CX is not a separate thing. Digital is not a separate thing. So when you look at the 3 pillars, right? Customers, employees, and purpose, it should be really integrated in your existing, let's say, organization system. What do I mean by that? It should not be a separate CX report. It should not be a separate report on employees, right? Ideally, you want to have a balanced set of reporting numbers, KPIs, where everything is linked together, right? So it's one report that includes the CX part, the sales part, churn, employees, profitability, right? So that people really feel, hey, it's not a separate thing. They see, hey, with our organization, it's just as important, right? It's part of all the reporting. And also they can start understanding, hey, when we see the satisfaction go up of customers, for example, we see that the engagement of employees increases. We see that GP increases. And so people start more and more seeing the relations between the different pillars. And that's the same for meetings. So we have this list of, I think, but maybe know it better, Miranda. I think we have like a list of 30 let's say, concrete activities that you can do to get CX in your DNA.
Yeah, something like that. And it's expanding like every week, right?
Exactly. Whenever we work with a new organization, we come up, either they have some cool ideas, or based on the context, we come up with additional ideas. So this is a living document. But also here in each meeting, let's say even, and I think there was an example of, I think it was Walmart, where the CFO, right, the financial meeting always started with, hey, how many money did we save for our customers, right? Because that's one of the key topics why Walmart is on this earth, so to speak. And so also check your existing meetings and, hey, what can we add in each meeting to make sure that the customer is part of that meeting, right? It could be as simple as starting each meeting by going around and asking one person, hey, when did you feel last week that you made the biggest impact on customers, for example? Or asking, what's one thing that we could do to enhance the impact of our employees on customers, right? You can have a gazillion list of questions, but again, here, don't start having separate CX meetings, separate meetings about the customer, but see, hey, all our existing meetings, are they well balanced, right? Are we talking also enough about customers, about employees, about purpose?
Yeah.
And that links to the final point, also communications. Let's say if you're a CEO and you do a monthly video, right? A monthly update internally for the employees, how the company is doing. Often those videos or emails are a lot about sales, right? And maybe new assignments that were won, or we grew in market XYZ. Keep doing that. Just add also, hey, and this group of customers really increased our satisfaction, or we improved this journey, or these employees have been doing some really cool improvements. Right? So I think summarizing, while I'm hearing myself speak, I'm reflecting. I think the key is to integrate a lot of things, right? I think CX transformation, if you look at it from, right, the 3 pillars, customers, employees, and purpose, it can really help you to connect so many dots. And even today I was having a conversation with an organization where I see what so often happens. There's a strategy document, there's a CRM implementation project, CX is doing something, there's maybe a leadership program, and all these things are standalone, right? They're not integrated into one full story where everybody understands, this is how everything is connected.
Yeah.
This is how I can help, facilitate that transformation to bring even more impact to our organization. And I'll stop ranting, Miranda.
And integrating all this also really helps in getting it in the DNA of the organization, right? Instead of being it a project that starts and ends at one point.
Exactly. I think in the beginning, right, maybe year 1, you definitely need sort of a program or project approach. But the sooner that also in the beginning of your project, you start talking about, hey, what do I expect from team leaders? What do I expect from managers? That the sooner you start that was one of my learnings, right? I think 5 or 10 years ago, I would do a 2-year transformation program to then at the end start thinking, maybe it's also good to think about what leadership has to do in this. So the sooner you start the project or program with in the back of your mind, wanting to get it in DNA, the faster you will start connecting all the dots and everybody will feel also part of this transformation.
Yeah. All right. So the 5 behaviors: lead by example, don't fall for the hypes, ensure transparent, balanced decision making, ensure that CX transformation is everyone's responsibility, and integrate purpose, employees, and customers. Anything else to add for this first C-Level series podcast?
I would say after you were listening that, I felt kind of a drop the mic moment. No, sorry.
Right.
I think we covered everything.
Great. Thank you so much, and see you next time.
Thank you. Ciao.